Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So as you know, we are conducting mock interview series. As part of that, today we are conducting Java mock interview, and we have with us Danish. So Danish, welcome to the mock interview.
Thank you.
Yep. So can you please introduce yourself, Danish?
So yeah, my name is Danish, and I have around 2 years of experience working on multiple business domains, mostly in software development. And the
Hmm.
tech stacks that I have experience working on is I have worked on Java, Spring Boot, and I have worked on React as well.
Okay, cool. So in Java, like, is it around 2 years experience, or there was any gap or something in the Java
Yeah,
experience?
there was some gap because during like between the gap, I was doing React, mostly the front end things.
Okay,
But
cool.
the relevant
And
experience I could say is around 1.5 year in Java.
correct, cool. And in terms of Java usage part, right? Like, I know what libraries or collections which you have used regularly in your data projects.
So we have used a lot of things in our projects.
Mm-hmm,
Mostly the collection frameworks were used a lot.
mm-hmm,
Then we used the JPA Hibernate. That is another dependency that we inject in our that we include in our Spring Boot application for seamless. Like we don't need to write queries manually. The JPA Hibernate takes care of this.
mm-hmm.
Mostly Core Java we used a lot. That is the main thing that we use. There.
Got it. Got it. Cool. So I think we can get started.
Yeah, sure.
Since you talked about, I mean, the collections and core Java, right? We'll restrict our discussions to same. Maybe we'll start with the collection question. So in collections, right, there is array list and linked list. You might be aware.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, linked list may not be heavily used in Java, but that is supported. So do you know the
Yes.
difference between array list and linked list?
Yes. So the first thing is that they are both implemented. We implement the list interface, and the
Mm-hmm,
implementation can be done via the array list or the linked list.
mm-hmm,
So they are just the implementation of list, but they are different. Linked list are node to node connected, while
mm-hmm,
array list is it's similar to array, but it is dynamic. It can grow in size. It has the uh, the generic array that was earlier available in Java were of like homogeneous type. The array list has we can include other data types as well. The objects we can store.
got it. So in
This
case of
is the
array
main
list,
difference.
right, can we specify the size of the array list when we are creating?
No, I'm not sure about this. But
Mm-hmm,
one thing is that it is dynamic in size. So there is one factor that is one ratio factor. I don't remember exactly what is the name. It's actually
mm-hmm,
around 0.75. When
mm-hmm,
the 75% of the array list is filled, it can regrow its size. The regrowing is done in such a way that a new array list is created and the old data are copied into that new array list. The new array list that is created is of double the size of the actual array list that we had in the first place.
Okay, good. Yeah, so those who are watching this video, right, this is one of the important thing because you should know how array list grows because you'll not specify size most of the time. I mean, there is an option to do it, but still normally we'll go with default size and automatically when we add a certain threshold, right? I mean, once we cross a certain threshold, array list internally basically increases its size. So that's one of the interesting concept. Cool. I
Yeah,
think we
the factor I now remember the name. It's called as the load factor, I guess.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's fine. I think I mean, sometimes like those names we will not be able to recall, but conceptual understanding is very important. Cool. I think we'll move on to next question. So, do you know the difference between hash map and hash set?
Yes, so the hash map is an implementation of map, and
Mm-hmm,
map is not under the collection
mm-hmm,
APIs.
mm-hmm.
The hash set is the implementation of set interface.
Okay.
In the hash map, we have we store key value pairs
Mm-hmm,
where we can store like in the key we can store null for the one time only,
mm-hmm,
and the duplications are allowed, but it is not preferred. So suppose we are storing custom objects as a key in hash map, we have to override the hash code and equals method in
Okay.
order to avoid collision. In the hash
Mhm.
set, since it is set implementation, so duplicates are, I guess, not allowed in hash set.
Mhm. So,
Internally, both uses hash table.
okay. So you're saying internally uses hash table. Since you brought that point, do you know what is the key in case of hash set, or
In
what is the
case of
value?
uh,
Because we just store one value, right? Internally,
yes,
if it uses hash table or hash map, it should be a key value.
yes. So the keys are actually calculated based on the hash code of the key that we are providing. I'm
Okay.
not sure what you are actually asking.
No. What I'm asking is, so like while storing something in hash set, right? We just store only one value.
Yes,
But internally, if it uses hash table, so that hash table or hash map, it requires key value.
yes.
So do you know what key it will
But
use or what value it will use? Like whatever we are storing, is it a key or is it a value?
so we do store key and value as both from our side. In case of hash map,
No, in case of
for
hash set.
that for hash set, I'm not much
Okay, no issue. No issue.
confident in that.
Yeah, I mean, no issues. I mean, just to see if you explode, that's not an issue. Cool. So do you know the difference between hash set and array list?
Yes, like the hash set is again implementation of set interface where
Correct.
the duplication is not allowed
Mm-hmm.
and it is stored in key value manner.
Mm-hmm.
While in case of array list, it's just like an array of it can be of custom objects as well, and it can regrow its size. There is no key value pairs, and duplications are allowed in array list as well,
How
like
about
in array list, but it's not.
how
Yes,
about
yes.
ordering in set and linked list,
So the
set and
ordering is
array list?
yes in set interface. I think order is not preserved for any of the
Okay.
implementation of set interface. Order is not preserved, but for
How?
list interface or for yeah, the
Mm.
array list is a list interface. So implementation of list interface. So the order is preserved. The way we store will get it will be stored in that manner.
How about like tree set? What it
Please.
maintains, do you know?
I think tree set does not store key value pair. It just stores the value.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
not
I'm not talking about the key value. I'm talking about order. Like there are, you said like none
yeah
of the
the
set implementation maintains order, right? Like there is something called linked
oh,
hash set also.
those I don't like. I have not. I
Okay.
don't have experience working on.
No
I
issues.
might be the statement was wrong that all implementation of.
Yeah, maybe yeah, you can say hash set. That
Okay.
works actually.
Okay.
Cool. So this hash map, right? Is it thread
Yes.
safe?
Uh, Hash map. I'm not sure about if it is thread safe or not.
Okay, cool. So have you worked
So
on threads in your applications?
I haven't worked on, but I know the basics of multi-threading in Java.
Okay, okay, cool. So do you know how to create threads?
Yes, threads can be created. There are two ways to create. There are three ways actually.
Mm-hmm.
For enterprise level, they are using executor service, which I don't have experience about. It is under the concurrent package in Java.
Mm-hmm.
The general ways are two ways. We can create a thread via implementing the runnable interface,
Mm-hmm.
which is a part of functional interface, or
Mm-hmm.
we can extend the thread class and create the thread.
Okay. So
Even if we do like we implement the runnable interface, in that case also we need the thread class object because the actual logic of thread is there in the thread class.
okay, that's fine. So among two ways, right? Extending or implementing. Uh, so what is the preferred one? Is it extending a class is preferred or implementing
It
interface preferred?
depends on our requirement
Mm-hmm.
because the since we know that we cannot extend like a child class cannot extend multiple parents. So
Mm-hmm.
suppose we are extending the thread class and we are actually extending some other class also,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to create the thread class. In that case, it will create the diamond problem. So we'll not use the thread class there. we'll use runnable interface. But if we are not extending some other class, so then we can directly extend the thread class and create the thread object.
Okay, cool. That's fine. So which version of Java you're using?
Mostly Java 8 is being used. Like the current version may be different, but we prefer the coding in Java 8.
Cool. So you are familiar with Java 8 functionalities?
Not all the functionalities, but yes, I know
I mean,
the
basics
new
of
features.
streams
Yes,
and yeah.
yes.
So why do you think streams are required?
So yes, that is actually good questions because I have worked on JavaScript as well, so I can answer it.
Okay.
Because in JavaScript we have this approach called as functional programming, where we have very easy to write methods like filter, map, and reduce. So in order to implement that functional programming approach in Java, that is Java is completely object oriented. Not completely, but the way of writing is of object oriented type.
Nearly we can
Yes,
say, yeah.
nearly. So we, in order to implement that functional programming approach, the streams were created. Streams are actually, streams comes with a lot of methods like filter, map, and reduce, flat map, and all. So these are easy to write, and we don't need to create a different function and then call it via objects. We can do it in single line.
Okay, that's fine. Any other advantage do you think streams will bring in?
Code quality is the one advantage. We can write faster code.
Okay. So do you know about this terminal operation and lazy evaluation concept in stream?
Lazy evaluation, I am not like not much confident. I have heard of terminal operations are like we do collect the streams at the end. That the dot collect is a terminal operation on stream. The reduce function is a terminal operation on the stream.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, this is one of the interesting concepts. Those who are watching this video also, stream supports lazy evaluation. So without terminal operation, it will not start the processing. So that's one of the advantage. And do you know about this parallel streams?
Yes, there is the concept of parallel streams as well.
Yeah.
Like we
So
can run two streams parallelly.
correct.
There is a method dot parallel stream or dot parallel. I'm not
Yeah,
not
that's fine.
able to
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, parallel streams are not heavily used in all the applications, and that's one of the advantage of streams. Like streams supports parallel streams. Like it can help you to execute your code quickly, but it comes with its own pros and cons. So we have to use based on our need. So cool. That's fine. Do you know about function interface?
Yes. So functional interfaces are, I think, was introduced in Java 8 only. I'm not sure. So it's a interface. It's a general interface. The restriction here is that we can only create a single abstract method inside of it.
Okay.
We can create our own functional interfaces as well. There are default functional interfaces and there are predefined functional interfaces as well. The default ones are the runnable that we talked about for thread creation. Then there is callable, there is comparable that we use to compare. It has a compare to method. So a single abstract method for it is compare to. For runnable, the single abstract method is the run method. And then there are predefined functional interfaces. There are 4 types of predefined functional interfaces. One is the function itself. Its name is function. And it is mainly used to test the value. It has a single abstract method named as test. And then we have predicate. No, the first one is predicate that has the test method. And then we have function that has the apply method. And then we have consumer and supplier. One of them, the consumer has, I don't remember the consumer's method. The supplier has the get method.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing those points. Yeah, those who are watching this video, right? This is one of the important thing because we will be using a lot of function interfaces without a knowledge also, using streams and
yes, the
lambda
streams, I
combination.
guess. Yes, I was reading yesterday only that filter was built over predicate and function together.
Exactly. Yeah. So internally it uses, like, those who are interested, I would recommend maybe you can just click on it and go and see the library. So that will give you an idea what it is internally using. So that will help you to basically increase your knowledge base. And so in case of function interface, right, you told there should be only one abstract class, only one abstract method. How about default and static methods? Can it
Yes,
have?
yes. Default and static can be there.
Okay.
After Java, it is allowed. We can have multiple methods, but it should be default and static.
Okay. So can this functional interface, right, extend another function interface?
I am not sure about it.
Okay, that's fine. Cool. I think
If
like,
we like extend some other interface to our functional interface, then the other interface will have some methods that we'll have to implement, and that is not possible in our functional interface. It's only possible if it is default and static implementation. So
got it.
maybe it's
Yeah.
not possible.
No. My specific to function interface extending another function interface.
Oh, okay. I think the same problem will arise.
Hmm.
We cannot actually implement multiple methods,
Okay.
but I'm not sure. I'll read about it.
Yeah. I mean, you're almost there because the concept is simple. It should contain only one abstract method. So by any means, if you try to add one more, it will violate the condition. And yeah, so I think just I would like to go back to collection. I would like to cover one or two concepts. So in case of hash set, right, you told it will remove the duplicates, or it
Yes.
will just have only unique elements. Do you know how that is done? Any idea?
I think there will be some logic inside the implementation.
Okay.
The default implementation of set is, I don't exactly know like on which data structure it is implemented, but the
Okay.
data structure inside of it will take care of this duplication. I'm not sure.
Yeah, not fully correct. Yeah, I mean, there will be some definitely, I mean, internal structure will take care. But let's say if you're using some custom object, that time you should also do something to make it work. So that's fine. And in case of hash map, right?
Yes.
Let's say I have a custom object, maybe an employee class, and I just have maybe two, three attributes: employee name, address, and some other attribute. And I have some constructors, getters, and setters. And if I create an object of that and store it, employee one and employee two, is it time? Is it fine? Like, does it work with hash map, or do
It,
I need to do anything extra?
yes. If these two objects that we are creating of the employee class
Mm-hmm.
have different arguments, like the method, the field properties that the class have. Like if
Mm-hmm.
the ID should be different for the both employees, the name should be different. If it is
Mm-hmm.
two different, totally different entity, we can store it directly.
Mm-hmm.
But if suppose we are creating two objects and we
Mm-hmm.
are passing same name and same ID, so uh, in actually it will create two instance in the memory.
Mm-hmm.
But since it is same in our code, because the
Mm-hmm.
ID is same, the name is same. So in order to avoid the collision, we
Mm-hmm.
have to override the hash code and equals method. So that it cannot collide and we can just store one thing in the map. That is the practice being preferred in the organization.
Got it. So let's say I have not implemented the equals, but I
Yes.
implemented hash code. Do you know what
Yes.
will happen?
I think if there is a deal in hash code and equals.
Mm-hmm.
If two objects we are creating equal, then in that case we'll have to implement the hash code as well. But if we are implementing just the hash code, then equals are not necessarily to not it's not necessary to implement equals.
Are you
Uh,
sure?
for equals, we have to implement hash code. I'm sure about this.
Okay.
If we are implementing the equals method, then it is must that we also implement the hash code method. But if we are implementing the hash code method, it's not, yeah, I'm sure that it's not necessary to implement the equals as well. We can just give another implementation of hash code instead of the default. Suppose
Okay.
if we are storing uh, employee objects E1 and E2, and E1
Mm-hmm.
has the ID of 1 and E2 has the ID of 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the internal implementation of hash code is that it basically runs a hash function over, can just return the ID itself. So it
Okay.
will be no problem.
Yeah. So those who are watching this video, right? This question you can also try. Maybe you can also try to answer in comment section. So do we need to implement both, or is it okay to go with one? So you can think through it, do a research, and you can comment. Yeah, same thing, Danish. You can also do it. And
Sure.
so let's say just one follow up on that. If let's say if two objects are equal, so hash code will also be equal.
Uh, I think yes.
Okay. So let's say if you do the reverse, like hash code is equal. So whether equals will also return true.
No, it's not necessary.
Okay. So let's say if I don't implement this hash code and equals, right? From where I'll get the result? Do you know, like how, like somebody has to provide that method to me, right?
So the hash code is all, there is a default implementation of hash code in the object class itself.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I think we'll move on to next part. We'll just briefly cover OOPS concepts. Um, so do you know about inheritance and composition?
Composition, I don't know. I have
Okay,
heard of it.
okay.
I not
Yeah.
sure. Maybe I can recollect if you can give some hint. The inheritance is that the parent class, there is a parent class and there is a child class, and child class inherits from the parent class. So it inherits all the properties from the parent class, and it can have their own properties as well.
So let's say if there is some private methods are there in the parent class, so child can inherit that.
I not sure. Like private properties are not inherited. So the anything which is private has a scope of its own class only. So
Yeah,
I think it will not be inherited.
exactly. So normally, right, in when we are talking about inheritance specific to any programming language, for example, Java, so we can't say like it will inherit all the functionalities. So it depends on the access modifiers also.
Oh, that's
So if it is public, it works in a different way. If it is private, protected, it works in a different way. And default is also there. So
yes.
do you know about this protected access modifier?
Yes, the protected modifier, the scope for the protected modifier is that it is accessible inside that class,
Mm-hmm.
accessible inside the same, inside the subclass also. And
Mm-hmm.
even if the subclass is in different package, in that case also, it will be accessible.
Okay. Yeah. So this is one of the important thing, guys. So it's good to know how access modifiers works and how the basically inheritance works with them. So okay, that's fine. Um, so let's say we'll move on to next concept, that is this overriding and overloading. So can you talk about that, like how it works?
Yes. So overriding and overloading are like the feature of uh, polymorphism. That is one of the pillars of Java.
Mm-hmm.
Polymorphism basically states that the name itself suggests poly means multiple and morphs means form. So it means multiple forms of one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two concepts,
Mm-hmm.
overloading and overriding. In both the cases, it is a method that is either overloaded or overridden.
Mm-hmm.
Constructors also can be overloaded, and I'm not sure about the overriding of constructors.
Okay.
So in case of overloading, The methods can have different arguments. The same method name should be same, but it can have different arguments, and in some cases can have different return types as well.
So in
And
case
in
of
case,
overloading, right? Overriding. Sorry, I missed
yes,
that.
overloading.
Overloading. Okay, you are saying return time can be different.
I'm not 100% sure about it. I
Okay,
have read somewhere. In
sure.
case of overriding, I'm pretty sure that the method signature should not be different at all. And overriding works in case of a parent class and a subclass. Overriding comes into picture when there is an inheritance. And if suppose we have some methods in the parent class, we can override the same method in the child class to give another implementation of that. In case of overriding, the method signature should be same as that of the parent class method. So the return type and the arguments are actually the part of method signature. So it should not be
It should
different.
be, does it needs to be exactly same, or there should be some lenience to change something? For example, parent class is throwing some exception. So does child class should also throw the same exception in overridden method?
Not since the exception part we can catch via using the throws keyword. So that is not the part of method signature. So that can be changed, I guess.
Okay. How about arguments? Like arguments should be same, or let's say, let's say the
Yes, sir.
parent method is having, for example, an employee object as an argument, and child is having maybe employee subclass. Maybe employee has a subclass, maybe specific, maybe some department employee, for example, some department employee that's kind of a subclass of an employee. So can this child class method have department employee, or it should have employee only as an argument?
As an argument, I guess since it's a part of subclass method, so it can have the department employee object as well.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
I
fine.
have to recollect about
No issues, no issues. I mean, normally what will happen is we will know the concepts. I mean, it's applicable
yes.
for anyone who is watching. But if it is asked in a different way, we'll get confused. We'll think, is it
Okay.
possible or not? Is a question arises. That's fine. Cool. I think we'll move on to next one. So let's say I have a static, um, maybe an object or a method. I mean, or static primitive type, static and static something, static float or something, or static method. And do I need to have an object to call that method?
No, the static keyword is basically associated with the class. So it will not require any object to call it, either to call the property or to call the method. That is why main is static, because we don't need to create the object in order to call the main method. The JVM loads itself.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So from the static method, right? Is it allowed to use this keyword, this dot something? Can I do within the static method?
No, I think it's not required in case of static because it's a part of class. So we can just call it using the class name.
Okay.
It can be accessed using the class name, and since we are not creating objects, so we don't need to, because this keyword is basically the instance of the uh, the environment where it is being used.
Okay. So from static method, can I call non-static method?
Yes, we can call methods. We do call methods inside of our main method. So main is static, and we can call non-static methods by creating its object inside of main.
Yes, I mean, with object, yes, true. I was interested to know without object, is it possible to call?
No,
but I think you
no.
answered, yeah. So how about like from non-static, can I call static method?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool. So that's cool. Let's see if there is any other thing we can cover in the rest of the time. Inheritance we covered. Okay. How about this encapsulation? Do you know what does this encapsulation means?
This encapsulation is basically the binding of the data together. We are not exposing all the data in the global environment. I'm just using the generic terms like global environment. So,
Yeah.
it is basically binding of data and the associated properties, methods. The class itself is a part of encapsulation, because class has its field variable, has its own methods. So
Got it.
it is, yes.
Got it. So maybe one more question. After that,
Sure.
maybe we can wind up. So do you know the difference between abstract class and inheritance after Java 8?
Uh,
Or maybe starting from Java 8?
so actually, I did not get much chance to know to work on abstract classes.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that abstract class is declared as abstract,
Mm-hmm.
and it is not necessary to have an abstract method inside of the abstract class. But in case of interfaces, we have abstract methods.
Mm-hmm.
We have only abstract methods, and the implementation of that interface will have the implementation of that abstract method. So this is one thing.
Okay, but from Java 8 onwards, right? When you also
We
answered
have
a little
default
earlier,
and static.
default and
Yes.
static.
For interface, we have default and static. For abstract classes, I don't actually know if it,
Now, in abstract
the
class, you
abstract
can
class was
have
actually, yes.
implementation. Yeah.
It was earlier there. We can
Yeah.
have any number of methods, abstract and non-abstract as well.
Correct. Correct. Do you still think is there any difference left? I mean, there are differences, but I'm just asking
I think we
from
cannot
the.
create the objects for
Mhm.
interfaces. We don't create object. We first
Okay.
implement the interface. For
Okay.
abstract class,
Yeah. Can
not
we create
sure.
object?
Since it's a class, so we can create object of
But
it.
it is not concrete class actually.
Okay.
Like, let's say abstract class can contain as per your explanation, like can contain or cannot. Let's go with can contain abstract methods. So if something is not like kind of implemented, right?
Implement. Yes, got it.
So it will not be a concrete class. Yeah.
Yes, that is why we cannot. It will be totally wrong to create objects.
Cool. Yeah, maybe just one last concept. So you might have worked on strings, right? Strings is kind of commonly
Yes.
used.
Yes.
String is called immutable. Do you know what does this immutability means?
Yes, immutable means we cannot mutate it. Like we cannot modify the string. For modification, we have string builder and string buffer classes. But a string itself is the string in Java is a class.
Okay.
It's not a normal primitive data type. It's a class-based data type. So we cannot actually mutate the string objects. And for storing a string, we have this string constant pools. And so when we use the literals like string A is equal to Danish, it will be stored. The Danish will be stored in the string constant pool. And
So let's say, sorry to interrupt. Let's say
yes,
I want to use string s equals to Danish somewhere else in the code. So will it refer to same string literal or?
In case of literal, it will refer to the same. It will just go in the pool, check if the
Okay.
same object is there. So if it is there, it will just refer it. There will be two reference for the same
Got it.
instance of the memory.
So let's say if I use new string of Danish, so will it create another literal in the string pool?
Yes, the new keyword is basically used to create a new instance in the memory. So when we'll use the new keyword in the string, it will create a new instance with the value as Danish. And it will not be, I think it will not be created inside of the pool. It will be in the heap outside of the pool.
Correct. Yeah, my question was around that. Will it create one more in the string pool? Okay. Cool. I think we are almost done. First of all, it was nice connecting with you, Danish, and it was a very good discussion. So overall, if I have to tell the feedback, I'm not going to point out question-wise feedback. You have a good knowledge. Just that, like in some places, when we went a little depth, I think you got a little confused. I think you also observed that. I think you can correct it. It's not a big thing. So main thing is whenever we are learning something, right, we'll go in one path. Like maybe we'll learn like, for example, set will not support duplicates. That's what I learned. But what I would recommend is it's always good to know little further why it will not support. So this way, it's not just for this programming language. Anything you study, right? If you go little depth, understand the internals, then you will have more hold on it. Otherwise, like you will also just say it will not support, and you may be writing some code to basically make your custom object to filter duplicates using set. But even then also you may not be knowing how it is working. So it's always good to know internals. Like in some place
Sure.
I felt that, like you also I think realized. Other than that, I
Yes,
think
yes.
it was a good discussion. So at your experience, I think you tried to cover most of the things. So yeah, I think it was a good thing. Yeah. If you have any comments or something, you can, or suggestions, you can
And
tell. Yeah.
I'll just definitely go through the places where I was not much confident, the
Hmm.
implementation of the set, and
Hmm.
other points
Hmm.
that I'll just write down and go through it. And yes, thank you for your feedback. Definitely.
Cool. Yeah. So those who are watching this video, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to our channel. And more than that, I would recommend practice these questions. That is important for the interview. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danish, for connecting. So I'll
Thank you.
just stop the recording.